ladies and gentlemen. I've got to confess that...
You've never seen Doctor Who?
Once or twice. I've got to confess that Troughton is my favourite Doctor.
Oh, a man of taste.
Oh, mine too.
Yes. And Peter Cushing is one of my favourite actors.
Yeah.
So perhaps you could just share some memories of working with Patrick and working with Peter.
Oh, well, Patrick was a joy to work for. You never ever got to work thinking, oh, I hope he's in a good mood, or I hope Wendy's has had a round of boy. It was a joy to go to work. No, it was. We never, you know, I feel like giving the money back because we were so happy to be working with that lovely. And every 6 weeks we got a new cast, a new master. And we welcomed them. Patrick, new crumpet. A girl came in. You play cards. You play cards. I want to play cards. We just welcomed everybody because it's not very nice if you join a long-running show and the stars go, hello, yes. And you think, oh, I've got to join this lot. But yeah, it's always a joy to go to work.
Shall I talk about Patrick?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. He was just a wonderful man. And I was 21, and so I learned a lot from him, not only about acting, but about how to behave in the profession. He was a very private man, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And I remember being on location where there were some reporters. We were in a quarry or somewhere, and I said,
quarry?
"Oh, a quarry." Yeah. That's all I ever filmed in. Quarries. Quarries or rubbish dumps seemed to be the thing at the time.
Glamorous.
Yes, really glamorous.
Yeah.
But I said to Pat, oh, well, we got to speak to the press, and he said, absolutely not. You don't have to. You go to work, you do your job to the best of your ability, and then your private time, when that ends, your private time is your private time, and you don't need to speak to anybody or tell anybody about your private life. I mean, it is very, very, very different now, but there was no tweeting or any of that stuff then. And just a delightful, generous actor. You know, he was a wonderful man.
Yeah, and if you had an idea for to change the script, you'd never say, look, you're just a companion, I'm the doctor. You go, oh, Frazer got an idea. Yeah, we'll do an idea. Oh, yeah, we get all excited. Yes, you've got to put a joke in.
Jennie, Peter.
Yes, Peter. We were talking about wonderful men, aren't we,
Mike?
all the time? Oh, sorry. That shows. I haven't done it for a little while. Coming back here today, it's really wonderful. Takes me back. To Peter, I love the fact that Peter was a classical actor, actually.
Yes.
And he used to tell me all about that and talk all about that. And he had this wonderful classical actor voice.
Can you do that again?
He had a wonderful classical actor voice. But that one, I was up, this is nothing to do with it, but I was up for a film with, I forget who, Marvellous Man, and Catherine Hepburn was the other actress in it.
Gosh.
And I did this test, Peter O'Toole it was, and I did this test with Peter O'Toole, and he said, see you on the set, kid. You know, when you're young, isn't that wonderful? See you on the set, kid.
No.
And I got a letter from the director who said, Catherine Hepburn has sent a message through. There's only one person who cries in this movie. That's me. I'd done a test, you understand?
Oh.
And Peter's such a good actor, he produced these. Tears. And it just reminds me. Sorry, I went offline from Peter. Peter, he was, I think he was such a nice man to everybody. Adorable, and he used to get on very well with Roy. And Roy used to make him laugh a lot because Roy was multi-talented, really. And Roy spent his time in the dressing room playing the trumpet and things, and tap dancing. But Peter I was very fond of, and I knew his wife, Helen, and Helen wasn't a well person at all, so he had that stress all the time. And then, unfortunately, Helen died, and Peter became this sort of skeleton. Do you remember that?
Yes.
He did bits of television, but his heart wasn't in it. And when I spoke to him, he said, no, I'm just killing time. Oh, that's sad. It's sad. But I think he was a very good Doctor Who. I enjoyed his Doctor Who. But we were naughty and we laughed a lot. We got giggles. And the director, what was his name?
Gordon Fleming?
Very good. Thank you, Frazer. So good. Yes, he used to get very cross with us because we did giggle. The Daleks and everything were funny. The Daleks were full of ballet dancers from Covent Garden.
How many ballet dancers did Dalek?
One ballet dancer.
One ballet dancer to one
One
Dalek.
ballet dancer.
How many ballet dancers can you get into a Dalek?
We could try later.
Yes, I'll be up for that.
The Tars. You remember the Tars in Doctor Who and the Dalek? These sort of university guys, you know, pale skin and blonde hair. Something about them was rather funny. I've forgotten what it was.
Covent Garden porters, I think.
They were garden porters.
Yeah.
That's it.
Oh.
And,
Or Billingsgate Fish Market, it might have been. I can't
I
remember.
know
It was something like that,
the
wasn't
gardens, Covent Garden.
it? And they took all their chest hair off.
Yes,
Oh,
you know
yes.
the story, and they were paid extra to do so. And I presume it wasn't the women as well, was it? I don't know. They were paid anyway to shave their arms and shave their chests, and they all sounded like ex-grads, really, didn't they?
Yeah.
Wow. Frazer, you would have done that for a bit more money, wouldn't you?
What?
Shave your hair off.
Yeah. Was it true that the Peter Cushing at one point was engaged to Whoopi Goldberg, and she broke it off because she would have been known as Whoopi Cushing?
Please don't applaud his joke. They'll be endless.
Questions from the audience, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh.
Gentleman right at the back.
Oh,
Frazer, you said you played cards for Patrick.
yeah.
Are we talking pontoon, or a little bit something more serious like poker? And if so, how much did you take them for?
Well, we played a lot of poker, and we also played a lot of liar dice. You know, where you throw this dice under a cup and go, I've got 3 kings, and the next person has to be yes or no, and he takes it. Then if there's no 3 kings there, he's going to then lie to the next person. But no, the number of times we had a little ante-room with a snooker table with a covered up, and Dougie Camfield would come in and go, are you boys coming to work today? And Nick was like, no, it's all right, Dougie, we're doing the lines, I've got a good hand here. No, don't worry, we'll know the lines. We'll be in, and Dougie would be drumming on the thing. Great fun.
But what was the card game that we all played? So that when
Aggravation.
What was
Aggravation.
it? Aggravation.
When you take 2 and then you
Yes.
last card.
Yeah, last card. Yes. Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, we played that.
How
all
many
the time.
did work though?
No, we didn't do any work, did we?
No. I've got to tell you a little story about it. Talk about money. Patrick had a lovely car called a Rover 2000.
Oh, yeah.
And I admired this, and I came into rehearsals one day and I said, Patrick, I've just seen Motor Magazine, and you know the mannequin Pièce, which is a little statue of a boy in Brussels, and he's this naked boy, and he's peeing into a fountain. I've seen in this Motor Magazine you can get screen washers on your car, 2 little silver boys, you press them. Screen washers. He said, oh no, this is silly. So next day, he said, right, where's this magazine? I said, my mum threw it away. I said, no, what is it, man? No. Hell. On the way home, I stopped in traffic lights, and there was this white Rover 2000, second-hand one, on the bonnet, 2 silver. So I went in and said, how much for my car? How much for it? I wrote a check out. In those days, you just do swap the cars over. Went the next day, Patrick, bloody thing again. I said, Patrick, I bet you 10 quid, which is like £100 of today's money. I bet you 10 quid there is. He said, oh, all right then. I said, come outside, come in. Oh my word. Yes, Jennie, it is a bit. No. And I opened the door. He said, have you bought the car? Yes, just to get 10 quid off you, you mean, bastard. True story.
Yes.
Wendy, I've got pictures to show you. I hope it's
Do you remember that?
Oh, Crossroads.
Yes. And I
Do you want to hold it to the audience?
It's
can see
just
it?
come out,
Oh,
actually,
can we sit up there?
in a box set.
No, I don't think we're sophisticated enough.
No, I thought it was a camera.
It's come
What's
out,
come out in
it's
the
come
box
out in a box set with all Noel Gordon's episodes that exist, because
Ah.
there's just been that Russell T Davies Nolly.
Yeah.
And I wondered, what was it like on Crossroads at the time? Did you work with Noel Gordon, or...?
Yeah, because I was there very, very early on. I think just coming up to a year it had
When
been
was
on.
that, Wendy?
Well, I was 17, so
Yeah.
it was a long... I don't remember.
1980s.
Yeah.
1943, 44.
Do you know what? Anyway, moving swiftly on, Frazer. Yes, and I had long chats with Russell because he's done the thing Nolly, the three-parter. And so we had lots and lots of Zoom calls where he was trying to get me to remember he wanted to know what I remembered about Nolly, because he was absolutely passionate about Nolly and her journey in Crossroads and her journey at ATV. And she was a formidable woman. So he wanted some memories of that, but also memories of there was a chair in the green room that you just did not sit in. I mean,
There's one upstairs as well.
and she would be desperately upset if you sat in her chair in the green room. But I didn't know that on day one. And she came in and looked at me and turned around and walked out. And then the floor manager came in and said, I'm so sorry, that's Nolly's chair. And I was like, oh, I didn't know. But she was formidable, mainly to do with Crossroads. She wasn't, I think some people had a bad time with her, but I didn't personally. She was passionate about Crossroads. It was like her baby. And I haven't seen the three-parter yet. I do know, I've seen some clips, but I haven't been able to get ITVX in France. It's so irritating. Anyway, when I watch it, I will be in touch again with Russell, because I remembered what the chair looked like. So there will be little bits in there that I've told him. I don't actually think it covers my time in the show, but I don't know yet. But we had lots of lovely chats about it.
Was that Russell T Davies?
Russell, yeah.
You should have said, I'll tell you all about it if you bring Frazer and I back for a story.
When I email him to say I like Nolly, which I know I'm going to love when I do, I'll ask him.
Yes.
Thank you.
Just one story.
Again,
Yeah,
though,
yes.
I don't think the episodes exist with you in, unfortunately.
Nothing, no.
Really.
It's probably just as well. Yeah.
Gentleman at the back.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay. This is a question for Jennie. What was it like living in the age of Dalek Mania, which obviously led to the movies?
Can't hear, sorry.
What was it like living in the age of Dalek Mania, which led to the movies? You know, with you couldn't walk through the shops without Daleks everywhere.
Yeah, it was wonderful. I actually, oh sorry. Can you actually hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, you see. No, I was unaware of the Dalek situation when I joined that film, which perhaps was a good thing. Milton Savotsky, who was the producer, wanted it to be a family show, as you can see it is, and it's watched a lot today. They repeat it a lot for little people, which is good. But the Daleks, the set, was brilliant. I've never seen a set quite like this. When you think of today's movies and they do it against a black backcloth,
Yeah.
you know, and here was this set, you walked on it and it was totally believable, it was fantastic, and the Daleks were just brilliant and wonderful. A lot of running up and down corridors. But they took the Dalek and some of the set to Selfridges, if you remember Selfridges, and they stuck it in the window there for quite some time as a set for the shop, advertising the shop, I suppose. So, Dalek Mania. I don't think the film got that response so much as the television did. The television was long, lots of doctors, lots of interest. I don't think there were just 2 films, weren't there?
Yes.
I don't think they got that sort of response. But they were rather fascinating, aren't they, in a way? They were fascinating. So it wasn't so much a mania, I didn't think. I certainly didn't receive that. Mania, I just did the one film because I was offered Ken Russell's film,
Yes.
and then I couldn't do the second one, which was rather a shame. Yeah, but you can't do everything, can you, Frazer? No. But I enjoyed it very much, and it was fun, great fun to do at Shepperton Studios, which I loved. Shepperton, so nice. It was all gentle days compared to today, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, gentle filming and fun filming, and yeah. I wouldn't like to be an actress, young actress today, doing the digital stuff. No, I wouldn't. It's heartbreaking. Everything I did, you went to the location, the correct location, the old houses and the parks, and everything, to do the work. And work's made easier by that. I can't think the work is easy today against black.
Yeah. I suppose ours was
We
gentle
said.
in comparison to today, where we rehearsed for a week and then we recorded it straight through, a bit like a play, really.
Yes.
It was a lovely way of working.
Could you explain a bit the difference between working on videotape and working on film? Because I'm not sure that in these days of single camera stuff we're quite aware of it, because your stuff was, the studio stuff was...
the film was on film, telecine,
Yes,
it was called in those days. And then we did the studio with 3 or 4 cameras.
And that was continuous action, wasn't it?
If you could do 3 scenes, and then because those huge cameras had cables plugged into the wall, so you could do 3 scenes and then they'd have to stop because camera 1 had to be there, and you can't lift the camera over somebody else's cable. So we have to do. But we're trying to do inside the TARDIS, then come out the TARDIS to the space station, run back, and then cut, and then they jiggle all the cameras around. But we had rehearsals, which you've got to know people, you were rehearsing it. Nowadays, you learn your lines in the hotel room, get onto the set, and hello Frazer, right, we'll just do a run through fine, now we're lighting, and that's it, you do a take.
Then you go home. No, it is completely different. And the only time they ever really stopped was just for something technical.
Yes.
You know, they rarely stopped for us if we fluffed or, I mean, we could stop, but it was always a time thing.
You never fluffed, sure.
Oh, no.
Fluff, cough and fart.
Yes.
We've been known as Fluff, cough and fart, the 3 of us.
But in those days, they stopped sound with everything. You've only got to make one tiny slip up, like go again, sound.
Yes.
They don't do that now, I notice, when I'm watching modern plays and stuff. They don't, I don't quite understand, being as old as I am, why I can't hear them. I mean, there is a sort of thing, sorry young ones, but there is a thing where they're all talking with a grin. They all talk like that, and actually not much happens with the lips and tongue. And so it's very hard to understand.
Yes.
We came from that school where you had to pronounce everything, and you trained for that. But I think hearing it today, plays and stuff on telly, is a different game, and it's quite hard.
And Peter Cushing was an absolute master of that, wasn't he?
Absolutely.
The clear enunciation and
training,
marvellous performances.
Yeah.
I loved him in the Morecambe and Wise show. I've not got my money yet.
Yes. Morecambe and Wise. I was about to do one and he died. It was so sad. We were going to do that Christmas show for Lizzie Kendall, myself, and one other, I forget who it was. Anyway, we rehearsed it all. And then he lived quite near me, because I used to live in near Bedford, really, in a place called Flitwick.
Oh, yeah.
And,
Who's from Flitwick? Anyone from Flitwick here?
Oh.
Hey, there we are.
And we know it's not Flitwick, don't we? But he died just before the Christmas show, so it wasn't in it. I was sad.
Yes.
I'd loved to. They were a wonderful couple. I would have loved to have been in that show.
But talking about outside filming, we did Enemy of the World, and then you get to the first episode, and we go into Astrid's bungalow, and he's patching her up. And I remember we did in the interior, which was the studio, then the floor manager, and we're on Telecity now, and we cut the film of this helicopter ride, coming out of Telecity in 5 seconds, carry on the acting inside the studio, and back on Telecity, then Colin Douglas came in. Patrick had to go into a room and dress as Salamander.
Yeah.
Didn't stop the recording. It was like stage play. And, so we did about 4 scenes with the film in disposed as well. Marvel.
I think he's flushing the loo. Gentleman front row on the... Yes, sir.
Hello, Zoe, Jamie, could you say who your favourite Doctor Who monsters were? Was it perhaps the robot Yeti or the Daleks?
No,
Zoe.
Well, I don't think I had a favourite, but I loved, I found Ice Warriors quite scary. Even though I'd sat in makeup for 3 hours, that they sat in makeup for 3 hours having all that latex put on. It was something to do with the voice, the hissing sound that they made. That was pretty creepy. And Cybermen were pretty ferocious. I didn't meet a Dalek, otherwise I would have been scared of them. I met a Dalek on stage when I did 7 Keys to Doomsday, but never in our time in the show.
The Ice Warriors, I think, they were very scary, but once they got bolted into that costume, they couldn't get out. And I'll give you a little thing, how Ice Warriors killed people. They would be walking up to somebody and there'd be a mirror, but it's made of rubber. And the actor would hit his mark, there's the mirror, but the camera would be looking at the mirror and not the actor. And there was a handle at the back. So as an actor, the actor hit his mark, the prop man would do that, and it looked like the actor was his body's convulsing, getting shot. And one take, kill. And the prop man, handle came off. And the Ice Warrior, shit, missed the ball. There's one there.
Oh, sorry, I'm not looking all over the place, am I? Yes.
Frazer, this is for you. As Jamie, was it difficult running around wearing a kilt?
Yeah, it was. It was very, very, luckily, the cameramen were kind and watched all the camera angles.
Yeah.
The worst
it
one
was not a pretty sight. Why are you?
The worst one was we were doing an invasion and the helicopter had to come in and the rope ladder had to come down. And so right, James climbed up the ladder and then Zoe and then Isabella. Helicopter downdraft, killed. Like that. I said, I think Jamie would let the girl go first. Good idea, yeah, so good. Of course, no rehearsal, BBC. Through the helicopter, ladder came down, and Sally Faulkner went, and her mini skirt went, she carried on climbing the ladder, cut, break for lunch now. Your turn, next Frazer. And my dresser, I read in that daily paper that the Queen, she had lead weights sewn into the head of her skirt, so you don't see the royal thigh. And my dresser was filming. It was fishing by a riverbank. I said, you've got lead weights there? She said, yeah, for different weight. I said, sew them into the hem of my kilt. So in his lunch hour, he sewed his thing, put the kilt back on. Right. Kill helicopter, your turn, Frazer, and I said, clank. And the ladder came down, and I stood, and I climbed up the kilt, climbed straight down, and the cameraman was filming the he couldn't believe the camera. What's happening? And you never found out what Jennie was under his kilt.
Marvellous.
Well, it was a children's TV, so you could. Oh, is that Patrick there? Hey, stand up, Patrick. Let's see you.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hi.
They love Patrick. Well done.
For you, Frazer and Wendy, your memories of working on the Space Pirates.
Oh, the
The
on
Space Pirates.
I don't really remember the Space Pirates.
Yeah.
I mean, most of the episodes are lost. One of the only things I remember about Space Pirates is Gordon Gosterlow boiling an egg.
Oh, yes.
Do you remember that?
No,
But I don't
Playing Clancy. Yeah.
really
Sorry,
remember
yes,
the story very well. Do you?
No, we had Lisa Daniela.
Oh yeah,
who was
Lisa
the movie
Daniel.
star.
Remember the people? It's the actual story.
Yeah. No, it was one scene where we were supposed to, it looked like we'd been at a party, we were all lying on the floor drunk. I looked we were drunk, but we weren't.
Oh.
Because the space station had blown up apart or something, and then Patrick got this oxygen and made it alive again. It looked like we'd just been having a party. But no, you're right, I'd love to see it again.
I'd love to see that one.
But
There's
that-
talk about animating that one, isn't there?
And there's a rumour that George Lucas saw the Space Pirates and copied our little space fighters for Star Wars. And they're very
Is
similar.
that true?
Yeah, very similar.
He never copied a quark, did he?
No. Never got.
Tom
One-
Baker here.
One quark says,
Sorry.
quark, Neil says, I can't do any quarker. Yes.
Again,
Thank you very much.
don't laugh.
Thank you.
Yes.
Did you have your hand?
Sorry, Fraser, I've been doing it for
Oh.
cross purposes.
Fraser.
Can we go 1-2, please? This gentleman first,
Oh,
yes.
Yeah, what's your favourite episode in Patrick Charleston's series that you've played in?
My favourite,
Favourite
always,
episode?
I always say is the Hines, because if I hadn't done just those 4 episodes, you know, I wouldn't have said, as I said earlier, I wouldn't have toured the world. If I just said, oh, it's only 4 episodes, this is children's show, I don't watch Doctor Who, I've never, you know, I'm so glad I did. Because I was only supposed to be in 4 episodes, and after episode 2, the fan base said, oh, rumour has the BBC, oh, you ought to keep him a companion, and that was it. And Patrick and I just got on so well together, and then the girls were welcome to go. It's definitely Highlanders for me. What about you?
Mind Dropper. Only, I think. What? Because it was so different to anything that we'd done before, or indeed did after. So completely different. And also, Frazer wasn't there for a week.
You little liar.
No, but it was a brilliant story in which to, if anybody's going to get chickenpox, that was the story to get it in, because it was so, I can remember them sitting on the steps of the set going, what are we going to do, writing how we could overcome Frazer not being there. And then we got a real actor in called Hamish Wilson. And it was just a clever thing of Pat and I getting his face wrong, basically.
Yes.
It was so clever, I thought. But I love the story. I really love the story.
Can I ask Jennie, actually, and I know it's perhaps a silly question, but were you in the cast familiar with the TV series when you did
Well,
the
I
film?
did,
I mean, how much reference was made to the television version? Or was it a completely different take?
No reference, and
No
I
reference.
wasn't familiar with it.
Yeah.
In a way, that's embarrassing. I'm ashamed to say
Not.
it, but I wasn't familiar,
Mm.
which I think probably is better.
Yes.
We weren't trying to copy something or
Mm.
be something else, and none of us had done it. Roy wasn't that familiar. Sorry. Peter wasn't that familiar with
Yes.
it at all. And we winged a lot of it. We made it up as we went along and how it would go. And the little girl, who's not so big now, Roberta Toby.
Yeah.
Yes, 11 when I worked with her.
Yeah.
No, we just, the script was very clear, what we had to do and what we shouldn't do. And I liked a lot of it. I liked doing a lot of it. The tiring bits was going up and down the corridor, chased by Daleks, because you had nothing to do with Daleks. I had everything to do with Daleks. I had always chased. I think a chap called Ray Music made them. Is that right, Nick?
Cushing
Cushing
was the designer,
Yes.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And out of laboratory bits of plungers and stuff like that. He designed it for his child.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was terribly clever. They are terribly clever. And they do frighten children.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do.
They didn't frighten us for, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But no, they're very clever. And very
It's
funny.
interesting, isn't it, over the 60 years, you know, from 65 to present day, how the design is almost identical even now.
Yes,
The design
yes,
works
yes,
so
yes.
well. Yeah.
Exactly.
But our Dalek operators, they had to learn the dialogue as well, because they had those little taxi cab indicators. So John Scott Martin, say one of the guys, he had to do so. You, and Roy Skelton, whoever, or Peter Hawkins, would be in a little room doing the voice, but the operator had to go so the lights would flash at the same time.
That's right.
But they weren't doing the dialogue.
Yes.
Peter Hawkins.
Can we have a demo? Thank you very much.
We are also amazing. I also have hazard lights.
Well done.
Marvellous. Yes, sir.
Wendy, the mind dropper is my favourite story from
Right.
your career as well. But I wanted to ask Frazer, when you were poorly and missed an episode of and they got the real actor in.
But you start.
How did it feel to see somebody else playing this part that you created? You were the first companion to ever be recast. It must be strange to see somebody else do it.
Well, the good thing is that I wasn't being recast forever, and I didn't see the episode. I didn't actually see it until it got out, because we were sort of 3 or 4 weeks ahead.
Yeah.
So when I took over back from Hamish Wilson, when I mentioned the episode went out, I thought, oh yeah, I've got no worries. But Hamish was a bit more Glasgow Scottish, you know.
Yeah.
See you, Jennie.
He was very good there, very, very good. Really was.
Yes, sir.
So we as the audience could see Doctor Who once,
Yeah.
and that was it. We missed it, that was it.
Yeah.
Did you ever get to see recordings of it? Did you ever get to see it again?
No, not really.
No.
Okay. Were you privileged in any way to see?
Well, no, what we did is, when we were in the studios on Friday or Saturday, we rehearse, break for supper, go to a little green room, watch that previous episode of 3 weeks ago, have our supper break, and then we go and do the one we're doing now. So always, Peter Purvis said, oh, I never watch myself. I've never watched myself. Why not? We had to. But
I
no,
quite like the fact that we didn't see it really properly. I quite like the fact that we had to wait a week.
yes.
I really like that. I mean, I know that sounds terribly old-fashioned, and I myself do binge on a series or something, but I do love that anticipation of a week of waiting for the next episode.
I was stopped in the street in Chiswick one night, about 11 o'clock, I was coming home, and this big bloke with a duffel coat says, here, just a minute, you're the bloke to telly. I went, yeah, you're the hero, aren't you? Yeah, in Doctor Who. I thought, here he comes, you're not so tough now. I said, yeah, that's right. He says, what happens next week? Because I'll be on night shift. I told him the whole story.
Oh, there's another story like that when we were in the car together. I'm not sure I can say it though.
PG audience. PG, we can up it to 15. Yeah.
We were in a car together going from television centre somewhere, and a taxi driver pulled up beside us. Do you remember?
No.
And wound down his window and looked, pointed to you and said, are you that bloke who wears that stupid kilt in that stupid programme? And you said, yes, I am. Are you the tosser that watches it?
Marvellous. Yes.
Oh!
Oh!
Yay!
Oh, wow.
All right.
Let's all have a pop at you. Now, quick.
I was going to ask, so although like you didn't all act alongside the Daleks on TV, you this is a question for all of you, like either did it on stage play or film or during the TV series, how is it like to actually meet the Daleks that everyone goes on about?
Yeah.
Like what was the first reaction you got to see them in person?
Yes. What's it like with the Daleks? How did you react when you first see them? Could you talk a little bit about the stage play as well?
Yeah, it was brilliant because I'd missed out, obviously, on ever working with the Daleks. So when I did Seven Keys to Doomsday, there they were. They didn't look as magnificent as this, I have to say. I was slightly disappointed, but what I did love was at some point during the play, I had to get into one and work it, and that bit was absolutely brilliant. Except they had batteries, like car batteries, and I burnt my leg because they were small. I don't remember them being as magnificent as you two over there. You're welcome. But it was just wonderful because I never thought that I would ever do a story with a Dalek, having come out of the show so long before. So it was brilliant.
Did anyone get to see it? Did anyone see the play Seven Keys to Doomsday when it was on? Jeremy, you did. Yeah, marvellous.
You've got a script, haven't you, Simon? Have you got a script?
I've got a programme.
Oh, you've got a programme?
I've got a programme for it. I remember Frank and I were going to be taken by a friend of the family, and it coincided with an IRA campaign in London. It was taken off after only a few weeks, but we were bitterly disappointed because we weren't going to get to see the stage play.
Yeah, there was talk of us taking it on the road when we came off because we were expecting to be there much longer, but we just couldn't. People weren't coming into central London when there was a likelihood of a bomb in a letterbox. You know, why would you? But the sets were so enormous, weren't they? The huge sets. They didn't really fit into any provincial theatre.
Really?
It was a real problem for them.
Yeah.
They were just too big, and it was very, very technical. Before its time, I think, with for stage, every line was a cue, some sort of lighting cue or sound effect cue. It was, you could never veer off the script. You would have hated it, Frazer, but you couldn't not say your actual written words because you messed up the entire thing. But it was pretty spectacular, yeah.
Anything ever go wrong? I mean, the danger is with technical stuff on stage that it's going to go wrong, isn't
yes,
it?
and invariably it did.
Yeah.
Yes, and more than once. There was a giant thing that used to be pushed in or somehow wheeled in to the centre of the stage, and it was massive. And that used to get stuck, and it was all a bit jerky, and sometimes it never did make it. You know, there were a lot of technical issues with it, but nonetheless, it was a good story, and I loved the beginning of it because it was who wrote it? Terence. I was talking to Terence once, saying I loved doing Seven Keys to Doomsday, and I said, and I loved the opening of the show, and he said, oh really? And I said, yeah, because we used to come in, the boy and the girl, the two companions, from the foyer of the theatre and then sit in the audience, take our seats. Then the show would begin, the lights would go down, there was a lot of dry ice and the sound of the TARDIS materialising. The TARDIS would materialise on stage. And the doctor, who was Trevor Martin, who I thought was a wonderful doctor, fell out saying, help me, help me. And we were sitting at the back of the stalls, and we started saying, that man needs some help. That's awful. Look, there's something gone wrong. But what's wrong with him? We need to go and help him. And the audience would say, shh, quiet. One day I actually got hit over the head with a programme. Little did they know that a couple of minutes later we would run down the aisle, up onto the stage, help him back into the TARDIS, and off we went to the adventures. And I said all this to Terence. I said, I loved all that. And he said, I hated it. It was not my idea. And I said, oh, I didn't realise that. He said, I really didn't like that. And I said, but it worked really well, because all the kids in the audience were, oh, if I'd gone a bit sooner, I could have been with the doctor in the TARDIS. I thought it was a wonderful opening.
Yeah.
I was looking forward to working with the Daleks. There's an unwritten law, you don't mess about with the props or anything like that. In one lunch hour, I sneaked upstairs to the studio and I got in this Dalek and I closed the door and that's something was coming, oh crying. So I just sat in this Dalek, and of course you can't see into a Dalek, and it was two of the actors, and they leant on me, thinking, this bloody director, he couldn't direct a pig to be dirty, the actor, the script is crap, the actor, you know, and after about 2 minutes, I went, I heard that, and I walked away. Who is it? Who is it? And I got free beer for the rest of the week.
Jenny, did you get to go inside one?
I didn't, I'm just being envious here.
Yes.
No, nobody offered that at all.
Well,
and in
shame.
fact, there wasn't time or you didn't think of it or whatever. I'd love to have gone inside one. But they move brilliantly. They're very quick. You're very quick, aren't you, when you want to go down a corridor? Like lightning they were.
You put on weight since we last saw you, though.
Yeah.
Time for a couple more. Gentleman here and then the gentleman at the back. Sir.
Frazer, can you tell us your memories of working with Debbie Watling?
Oh, Deb was wonderful. She was a great companion to work with.
Touche, Frazer, touche.
Young, attractive, beautiful, and all that. But I think, no, she was lovely, and again, we had great girls, we'd tease them and take them out, and they never once would slap them, for goodness sake, grow up. She was just wonderful. And we'd seen her in a thing called Calf Love, which before, a character very similar to Victoria. And of course, we shot at Grimsdyke Hall. We were on film first of all, and she was captured by the Daleks, in the eve of the Daleks. And my first line to her was, "Quick, Miss Waterfield, up your passageway." I could say it, and we were laughing. What are you laughing? We were just laughing. And Derek Martin, "Why are you laughing?" I said, "Because it sounds naughty." No, it isn't. What were we going to say? "Quick, down the corridor." So we changed it to "Quick, down the corridor." Because and then when we saw the Emperor Dalek, and I still think to this day, why do we call it the Empress Dalek? Because when you see the Emperor, it's got a brassiere. They're gold and the rest are black. And I thought, it was in the script, I'm sure the writer did it on purpose, because we've seen this huge Emperor Dalek, and I go, oh, look at the balls on that. Could we say it? Could we not? Derek Martin's, oh, for goodness sake. In the end, it's, look at the size of that thing, Doctor. Yes, Jennie, it is a big one, isn't it? We tried to get into a lot of stories, the team-out story in the museum. Look at the size of that. Yes, it is rather. And then in the Two Doctors, at the very, very beginning of the Two Doctors, you know, I say, look at the size of that. John Nathan Turner, usually. No, stop. It says, look at the size of that space station. Not, Patrick, no. And in most stories, look at the size of that thing, Doctor. And I go, yes, Jenny, it is a big one, isn't it? That's how we crept that in as many times as we could.
Andrew, is the Emperor Dalek set up?
Yes.
Whereabouts is it?
That's it. Second order one.
In the second auditorium?
Oh, can you bring it in?
So we actually do have an Evil of the Daleks
Yes.
Emperor Dalek today. So if you haven't seen him, he's in the second auditorium. Don't feed him; he gets cross.
There was one more.
Yes, there was another one, and I've forgotten. The gentleman here, yes, sir.
This is a question for Jenny. What was it like working with Roger Moore on two different shows?
Roger Moore.
Yeah, Roger Moore.
What was it like working with Roger Moore, Jenny?
Oh, there's a beautiful man. He was literally beautiful, far too good looking. But he never took himself.
Please use your
Oh, sorry. He never took himself seriously at all, which made him very amusing. And he was the one for practical jokes. And the one that I remember, well, no, I wasn't there. He was filming, but he used to tell this story. He was in an aeroplane, and he was sitting next to a female passenger, and there was a conversation between them. And in the middle of the conversation, there's the props man wiping the window of the aeroplane, because of course it was not in the air. But it was terribly funny. It was said, did I explain that badly? It was
Not
a
at
shot,
all.
they were flying in the sky. And then there's this props man cleaning the window.
Marvellous.
I mean, but he was known, thank you, Frazer, he was known for his practical jokes. He did them everywhere. And he was naughty with them. I went out to France to shoot the first of the Persuaders, remember?
Oh, yeah.
And
With Tony Curtis.
with Tony
Yes.
Curtis, lovely actor too. And I was seated neatly facing the sun. So, you know, you're filming like this.
Yeah.
He was horrid, but funny.
Very good.
But he used to wear, Roger used to, those amazing blue eyes, he used to put the blue drops in, which now have been discovered as very dangerous. They were hurting
What
his
did they
eyes.
do?
They made his eyes bluer,
Oh, really?
but in doing that for so long, all the saints and the persuaders, he hurt his eyes.
Oh,
Yeah. So by the end of his life, I think they were sort of burnt, you know what I mean? Yeah, you can't do those things. But Roger himself, lovely, lovely actor, lovely man, and I always enjoyed being in anything because he directed as well, of course. So
yes.
Yes, I was in 2 of the Saints that he directed. Terrific director. Altogether, the best. Roger's the best, because he didn't take it seriously. He didn't take himself or acting that seriously, which is a much better thing to do, you know.
We've got time for a quick one. So could we have a question for everybody, for all 3 of our guests? Yes.
Are there any story ideas or character arc or just ideas in general that you wish happened to your character in Doctor Who?
Ideas, things that you wished that had happened to your characters.
Had happened.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. I mean, well, Zoe was obviously cleverer than the Doctor, so obviously, then it might have been nice to have had another story.
Are you clever?
Me, personally, no, not at all. No, not astrophysics, no. I don't know.
I don't know what it means.
No, well, that's what I was. No, I don't know. I don't think I can think of anything that, story-wise.
I can think of one thing I wish hadn't happened. Even though I like horse riding, don't horse ride wearing the kilts. We were in Sussex Down, riding and galloping, and I have no hairs on the inside of my legs now because they were at tender age, they were worn away. And my legs were red raw. And the other good thing is on the way home I was lying in the back of the coach, the BBC coach, and the makeup girl rubbing lotion into my legs. So that was the that's my part of it. But no,
Can I ask a question?
Yes, please do.
To this lovely audience, and I'm not being rude to the lovely actress that played Doctor Who, not at all. I would just like to know, with a handshake if you like, did you like the idea of Doctor Who being a woman?
Yes.
Oh wow. Oh wow, that's so interesting. Because I've always thought Doctor Who is one of the most masculine characters ever.
Interesting.
Yeah, and I just thought, oh, that's going to be odd. Well, you know, it played very well. But I still think Doctor Who is masculine.
That's really interesting. I love Jodie, but I think she was slightly let down. You might have disagreed. I think she was slightly let down by the writing. Actually. It was such an amazing opportunity to have a woman. It was a shame, I thought. She's such a lovely woman, isn't she? Really lovely woman.
Yeah.
And she was really good, but I think she was let down.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Thank you for that, Jenny. Thank you very much. Well, we're going to go into another comfort break before the last interview of the morning. So just remains to say thank you so much to them for coming, Frazer and Jenny and Wendy.